Well, in memory of the late Deputy Minister in the Presidency for Women, Youth and People with Disabilities, Professor Hlengiwe Mkhize, government is hosting a memorial service in Randburg ahead of her funeral on Saturday. Our reporter Sameke Maseko is on that story, and we go live now to him. Sameke, thank you so much for your time this morning. Of course, the Deputy Minister going to be remembered for many things, and one of them being a staunch, ANC member, but also an advocate for women and children.
Yes, indeed. The legacy of Professor Hlengiwe Mkhize is a very complex and a very detailed one, particularly looking at her struggles as a member of the African National Congress, a member of the ANC, of the governing party, and also a former Minister of Higher Education and Training. You'd remember during the ANC's 2017 Randburg conference, former President Jacob Zuma announced that South Africa would be implementing free quality higher education in 2018 at the beginning of that year. At that time, she was the Minister of Higher Education and Training. She had then had the task of implementing free, quality, decolonized higher education, which had been an issue and a thorn within government. And you remember that commission that was set up by former President Jacob Zuma in the finding ways of implementing free, quality, higher education. And she was then tasked by government to implement that free, quality higher education until there was a reshuffle in 2018 after former President Jacob Zuma was removed from the highest office in the land. She was seen as one of his staunch supporters and staunch members within the ANC of the ANC and within cabinet, and also had the likes of Maurice Mokwebo advising her on how to implement free, quality higher education. So that is one of her legacies, particularly knowing that it was a political football at the time, with many people saying that it was announced in order to try and influence the outcomes of the 2017 ANC conference. So she in her own right had her own views, fought for the struggles of the emancipation economically of women within the country, and particularly women with disabilities as well, in order for them to participate in the economic landscape of South Africa, which is largely skewed. And so that is part of her political legacy. And she also departed the land of the living while she was the Deputy Minister in the office of the Presidency, responsible for women and people living with disabilities, working with Minister Maitinkowane Bashabane and also Gungubele, who's just been sworn in recently as the minister in the presidency. Today's program will be addressed by Maitinkowane Mashabane, and also I'm just going to try and bring in Minister Gungubele. Minister, can we just steal you for 2 minutes? 2 minutes. We can't go far. Okay. The minister says. The minister says he will talk to us first off the record, and then we'll continue with the crossing later on.
Imagine, Sameke, also, just that hesitancy from the minister. This is a very difficult time for not only government officials, but also for the party itself, the ANC, losing such a pivotal symbol within their party. I mean, the late minister, deputy minister rather, was also lauded, for being a fantastic academic. Not only just her political legacy she leaves behind. She had to leave the academia space where she was also very instrumental, and she chose politics.
Yes, indeed. She had to leave academia. I know, for instance, Professor Makanya will be speaking here today on behalf of academia to speak about the legacy of Professor Hlengiwe Mkhize. I know at some period in time, she was also working at Appelsport Hospital, which is a rural area where she predominantly applied her trade within the health sector in the Republic of South Africa. And she has had a staunch and also played a pivotal role in the academic space in South Africa, as she leaves behind a very vast and rich history and also legacy for herself and for her family, and the role that she's played, particularly in various sectors of society. She's also of various non-governmental organizations which She's also tried to help and to alleviate the poverty that many South Africans face, and particularly women who are the face of poverty, and which is one of the struggles that she's been particularly involved in within the political space, to make sure that the economic landscape is made equal for women, particularly knowing that they are seen as the face of poverty. You know the legacy and the history of the Women's League, which she was, and there are struggles that they are involved in trying to emancipate black women within the country, and also is played in upliftment of the African black child. That is part of the rich legacy that Professor Hlengiwe Mkhize leaves in the country, but also the most history within her legacy at this point in time. She was the Minister of Higher Education and Training when former President Jacob Zuma, in that 2017 ANC conference in Nazareth, announced the implementation of free quality higher education by government. She was tasked with implementing that free quality higher education, despite there still being protest by students in the various universities in the country in the implementation of this free quality decolonized higher education.
Sameke, let's leave our conversation here for now.